Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about 3% Season 3, Episode 1. It's called Chapter 1, Sand. At least if I remember the subtitle correctly, because the title on IMDb is in Portuguese. So
it's Sand, you're alright.
Yeah, so full spoilers for the episode as always. And these 3% reviews are sponsored by one of our patrons. Alison Fordas sponsors these, so thank you to her. So we're a little bit later to get into this than normal, mainly because the schedule's been very busy, and the plan is to try and do about one per week and get through Season 3. Because obviously we like Season 1 and 2 quite a bit, we want to get to Season 3, but it launched like a week before Stranger Things. We're still doing, we still are doing Tool to Die On actually, because we're doing that weekly now as well, but a lot of TV launching around the same time, so
yeah.
that's why we're
mostly Netflix as well.
Mostly Netflix, yeah. So here we are. So Season 3, we left Season 2 in a place where we set up this very new status quo, where Michelle was going to start a new third option for the world, where it wasn't the inland, it wasn't the offshore, it was something else. And it's funny because somewhere between seasons, and I'd forgotten I'd heard this. Right, I think it was someone on one of the streams in chat told me this, and I'd forgotten about this until it was sort of brought up in this episode. But I remembered someone telling me that for some reason Fernando wasn't going to be in Season 3. And there was a moment, 5-10 minutes into the episode, where Joanna sees the wheelchair sort of on a little shrine almost. And I went, oh, that's right, Fernando's not here.
Yeah.
I guess he's dead.
I assume you got a big, nice recap as usual.
Oh, I did. I got a nice big, 3-minute recap of Season 2.
See, I didn't. So when I saw the wheelchair on the shrine, I was like, did I forget that he died? Because I don't remember that.
No, I mean, it was probably obvious once we got to the actual explanation of his death.
It got to the point where I was like, no, it's fine. But when it first showed that shot and it was there, and it was really obvious that it was like a memorial, I was like, did I forget something that major?
Nah, it is really weird that he's not here. I can't remember if it was like a contract commitment somewhere else or if it was whatever, but it does feel like a jarring, like we just couldn't have the actor, so we had to kill him off between seasons, and it feels it feels forced and unnatural. And I think it feels worse that they showed a little flashback of it kind of happening, but they can't show his face because they don't have the actor, so you just see like the hand, you see, and it's like this is almost making it feel worse because
it's fine though, Pete, because we've got a wheelchair.
We've got a wheelchair, yes.
Yeah. So who needs the actor?
So. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. It's unfortunate. Obviously, it's not what they intended to do originally, I don't think. And it feels that way, but ultimately, you just kind of have to let it go and see what the season's like on its own terms. But it was certainly jarring getting this flashback and just hearing how he died off season, especially since he was, I would describe him as one of the 4 main characters of the show. So it's strange now that he's just gone. Clearly not intentional, but so we're introduced to some new characters though. We get, but more importantly, we're introduced to this new location. We're introduced to the Shell, which is up in kind of the wasteland desert area, past the inland, and it's got a seashell-like sort of structure to it, especially with the big rain catcher curtain, which gives it kind of a seashell look to it. And they're building kind of their own version of a utopia. They've got their own generator, they got power. The episode opens with like the power turning on for the first time, and everyone kind of watching down in the inland, and kind of different opinions as to what this means. Like Fernando's father, who's like very like devout to the offshore and like preparing people to go and do the process, is like, this is blasphemy, this is that. Joanna and her crew are all kind of like, this is
furious.
Yeah, now we have 2 enemies. It's not just the process in the offshore we have as an enemy now. Now we have this as an enemy. That's their instant thought, is to go to, no, this is an enemy. Yeah. So, we get so it's a pretty neat opening scene actually. I think it really sets up what the themes of this season is going to be. I felt like after this opening scene, I got, okay, this is what this season is going to be completely about. Is the idea of a third option and how that affects everything. And I suppose that was obvious from the end of last season, but I think it's good that the opening scene neatly just kind of lays it out on the table. So, yeah, so we follow Joanna kind of, and she's the character who, after a few months this thing's been up, she's going in, and we're kind of discovering with her, because she's seen it all for the first time,
Yeah, but you know, immediately she's got an ulterior motive.
You do, which is actually one of the nice things that mirrors season one, because it's kind of like finding out in season one that Michelle was working for the cause. You know, it's
Yeah.
you know, I mean, Joanna's actually working for the same thing, but in the sense that it mirrors the idea that one of the characters is actually there as a spy or there with ulterior motive.
I mean, even before it kind of tells us outright, it was really obvious because she was like, "Oh, show me the generator." It was the only thing she was interested in.
Yeah, to the point where I almost think Xavier, one of the new character we're introduced to, this sort of main kid, who's there to help. I always thought, okay, you're a bit dim, because the way she asked about the generator room was really suspicious. Like,
and it's not like he knows that, you know, this is someone who knows, you know, the founder and all the other big shots here, because he only learns that later. I think if you knew this was someone connected with them, you might not question it as much. But just a randomer who's come in from the desert, and don't get me wrong, everyone's welcome. You know, that's the whole thing. But gone, hey, generator now. Little suspicious.
We see that they've got like drones and stuff. They've got a guard. Mark was in there. He seems to be on a much more noble path than
guard drones, I believe they called them.
Guard drones, yes. He was very enthusiastic about that name. Was Xavier? So yeah, Mark was there. Raphael's there, although Raphael is being as useless as ever and as judgmental to everyone else as ever. What's his girlfriend's name actually from last season?
Eliza,
yeah, that's right.
Something like that.
She's not with him anymore, probably because he got her kicked out of the offshore. But she is with someone that she was with before she went through the process, someone who got left behind, as it were. So Raphael's in just a cesspool of misery right now, which makes him even more cheery than he often is.
Yes.
I swear, more and more he's becoming more of a Connor on this show. It's quite.
Look, just because I drink a lot does not mean I am that much of a mess.
I was going more with the cynicism and the constant belittling of anyone with a decent plan.
Do you know what? I'm going to let you have it today because I'm miserable in the heat.
Yes.
So fine.
So he's especially miserable. There's a sort of minor character interest with him who keeps talking to Raphael. I didn't quite catch his name, but he's just kind of, you know, there is someone for him to talk to. But yeah, so we get Michelle.
His brother, isn't it?
Is he his brother?
The kid in the hoodie.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, yeah, it's his brother. Yeah. So yeah, we get Michelle running the place and going around, and we see that they've got a big supply room. We see that they've got obviously the generator. They've got all sorts of things. They've got various facilities. They've got lots of bunk beds. Well, I say bunk beds. It's actually hammocks. But you know, they've got bunk rooms and all of this. You can see, okay, right. So they're doing fairly well. This estate. Everyone seems very happy. Joanna, obviously the exception, but everyone else seems very happy. Oh, and Raphael. Yeah. Raphael's also miserable. Everyone else, though, seems very happy. But big tragedy strikes. Very quickly in this episode, a sandstorm comes, and we see that the offshore can know that it's coming. We cut to their control room at one point, and they're like freaking out because something's about to happen. And the soldiers on the inland, they're all running away, they're going for cover. And this sandstorm hits the shell and just devastates it. It takes away their rain catcher and blows in a lot of the windows, destroys a lot of the not the building per se, but just a lot of the windows and a lot of the sort of smaller structures within.
Yeah, because the food's okay, because the supply room was kind of in the center. Yeah. So they're okay on food, but everything else is kind of pretty screwed.
Yeah, the garden's ruined. And like, okay, we'll build again. And obviously, my first thought is, well, this is clearly a relatively common thing here. This is partly why people don't live up here. This is why they're all in the city, is because the sandstorms. And did no one think about what to do if a sandstorm happens? Now, there is an implication later that there maybe is a protocol for the rain catcher in the event of a sandstorm. It just wasn't followed because Michelle was too concerned with helping people, which is a nice little beat for the character because she blames herself first. She's like, oh, I should have dealt with that first. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, you were helping people first, so I mean, your conscience can't be too hurt. Like, yeah, you know. Although Raphael does make a dig at her, But so they're kind of devastated. It's okay, we're going to rebuild, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We get a montage, and even though how hard she's trying to make a new Raincatcher, just smaller versions to see if she can get it working, it doesn't work. And Raphael kind of gives her the really harsh knowledge that the reason why the previous one worked was because of nanotech that only the offshore has. Because obviously they gave her a bunch of supplies to start off with. We saw that at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
So, you know, it gets kind of dire. It gets even more dire though when a group of people break into the food store and steal almost all the food and run away with it. Xavier's supposed to be on guard, and he is tricked into a locker or something like that. He's tricked with a drone into a room. And there's a neat little scene here though before he takes his shift where he's taking over from Marco. And it's because the one thing we kind of learn about Xavier is that his family is the opposite of Marco's, where no one ever gets in the process. Which, although to be fair, thinking about it, if it's only 3%, I imagine there's a lot of families who have never had anyone who passed the process.
Maybe, but he talks about, cousins, everything, like the entire extended family.
Yeah, no one's ever had anyone.
Presumably generations. I mean, you'd think eventually.
Yeah, still though. I mean, how many? I feel like we knew this last season. How many processes there've been? It's only been like 100 or something like that, right?
Yeah, but that's comfortably enough for 3 or 4 generations.
Yeah, but let's say there's even 10 people in each generation in a family, which even then I feel like I'm highballing it. Even that.
See, I would say you're kind of lowballing that personally. If you include an extended family, I think it can get quite significantly bigger than that.
Well, yeah, but how many of these people realistically do they know about? Once you're 4 generations in, like how many people are you even aware of from 4 generations
Well,
ago?
I mean, I imagine after it becomes almost like a family legend, right? Where no one's ever done it, so it's less that they're aware of the specific people. But more
but what I'm saying is double the number, 20 per, on average per generation. Then, that in the population, that is still such a small fragment that it's still entirely likely that none of them have ever got it past the process.
Well, perhaps but it would still definitely be unlucky, right?
No, I'd say it's expected. I'd say it's in the reason.
Well, no, I wouldn't. I mean, the hard maths of it, 3%. 3 out of every 100. If you got 80 of them, at least one of them should have made it through.
So what you're saying is the average for any family in 4 generations should be 1 person getting through, and you're telling me that it's going to be rare that only that 1 person doesn't get through out of the 4 generations?
No, I'm saying that a couple would probably get through out of large generations. So I don't know.
No, I'm not disputing that it's likely that it would happen. I'm saying that I'm just saying it's not unlikely that there'd be tons of families that have never had someone get past the process.
No, maybe not. No,
97% is such a huge percentage, and if you've got a family like Marco's, who's every single person's getting through, that's really
his is definitely the exception, though.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is that's really stacking the deck against everyone else if you're going by the pure maths of it, because you're taking away chances for everyone else, and in the sense that if they're making up X% of the 3% every single time, then there's less slots for everyone else.
I will say Marco's family seems a lot more limited. It doesn't feel like he has many cousins, right? I'm just saying,
but this is pure conjecture, because you have no idea how many cousins Xavier has.
No, but the fact that he's even mentioning cousins, second cousins, I think he said as well.
Just because Marco's never mentioned cousins doesn't mean he doesn't have cousins. We've never seen cousins for any other family. We've never seen Fernando talk about his cousins or Rochelle talk about her cousins. No one's ever talked about their cousins.
I'm just saying it's more relevant to his family when it's like, oh no, we all make it. It felt like a much more like a singular line of his, whereas the new family here that we're talking is like, no, this is really broad and none of them have done it. That's why I felt the difference here.
Okay, whatever. I feel like we're just moving goalposts here to justify your point.
Maybe a little bit.
And I'm not having it, so no. Anyway, so they have this kind of exchange. And our point of Xavier, of course, is that he's not 21 yet. He's 20, so he theoretically could be going into the process in a year's time, but he, throughout the episode, is saying that he's not going to because there's no point. His family always lose, and he likes it here better. So that's kind of his attitude.
Stay here,
yeah, that's kind of his attitude throughout the episode. Even though when that's tested, he does hesitate later on, but so they get into really dire straits. They're all freaking out. Raphael's causing a hubbub, as he usually does, causing commotion.
Because he's a filthy freeloader.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's not helping. Eliza's new old boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, he's like, oh, we should probably kick Raphael out first because he didn't do anything. And he's like, oh, you're just saying that for personal reasons. And he's like, and then Gloria's like, no, you're actually useless. You should probably go. And everyone starts fighting. But Michelle's like, no, we're going to figure out a plan. We'll come back later. And Gloria comes to Michelle and says to her, hey, we've got enough food for all these people for a couple of weeks, or we slim down and we can last longer while we rebuild, and more people can come back later. And she's basically proposing that they do their own version of the process in order to pick who gets to stay. And this, even though this is not a decision that's made right here in this scene, as soon as she said that, I was like, yeah, of course that's what we're doing this season.
That's the premise for the season. That's how we kind of get our tests. Because obviously season 1 was just the process. Season 2, we had like Joanna's tests a lot, you know.
Yeah. Well, it thematically makes a whole lot of sense. The idea that she's forced into doing it even though she doesn't want to, because it's just, the hard math of it says, no, in order for this to be successful, we have to slim down until we can sustain more people.
Yeah, and Gloria's insistent that the process itself, there's nothing wrong with in theory. It was the people running it. You know, they were stacking it unfairly.
Yeah, so that's it's going to be present, and it's not until actually Marcella shows up with Andre, and they're like, hey, we believe in the Shell. We want to help. We'll give you supplies. And she's like, yeah, in return for taking control of it. And she just gives this little sort of like smug nudge, like, yeah, obviously, like, yeah, we're going to be in charge. And so Michelle's basically got a choice. She either gives control over to the offshore and lose any sort of freedom or independence,
but they can presumably all stay there.
Presumably, but who knows where that leads in the future with them having control? Who knows what that leads to? Yeah. Or do their own version of the process so they can hopefully rebuild and then accept people back in later. Once they can, because it's like basically any kind of like founding area. Like you start with small, you build, and then you can take in more people. You let it grow bigger, and you keep expanding, right? With more people, more expansion leads to more people, so on, so on, so on. So this is when she comes in and she makes the announcement, hey, we're going to have to do our own version of the process. And everyone will be welcome back once we can, but in order to actually sustain it right now, we have to limit who's here.
The selection.
Not 3% notably though, 10%.
10%, which is a bit more generous.
Bit more generous. I feel like she's just done the math on the food and okay, this is what we can survive with. We can have this many people, and we'll do what we can. So she's like, okay, the first test is actually really simple. Round 1 is that if you want to stay here, you're going to have to cut off your implant and you're behind your ear. Where they track, you have to cut your ties with the offshore, and they're all kind of they're freaking out just in a sort of like mild fear way because they have to cut into the back of their head. But and this is where Xavier's sort of biggest moment of the episode kind of comes in, is that he's really nervous about it because even though he had no intention of going to the process, as far as he believed, this is like him actually making the choice to like guarantee that he can't do it, because if he cuts this thing out, then he's not going to be allowed in the process.
It's definitive.
Yeah. He does cut it out though.
Which basically tells me he's failing this selection.
Yeah, maybe. That would some drama. Eliza's boyfriend does it as well. Although worth mentioning, unlike the process, Eliza does mention to Marco that people who have medical needs do actually get a pass, and offers to put him in that list. And he's like, no, I don't want charity. He wants to prove himself and pass the test. But so we know that some people, and presumably her because she's the doctor, I imagine will be sticking around just by default.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Because Michelle's running the place. Yeah, they've got a doctor. I feel like these people are important and need to be there to staff
it. You mentioned Michelle there with Joanna's thing at the end with her. So she comes up and she takes off the the shell necklace communicator.
Yeah.
And uses that to take out her implant, and then keeps it. She doesn't give it back to Michelle, and it was almost an implication of, to me, it felt like she was saying, no, you've got to go through this as well. Like, you can't just stay by default. You got to put yourself on the same footing as everyone else. She took away the shell was all, that was the symbol of the person in control. So by taking that away, it felt like she was on level footing with everyone else.
Yeah, I don't think for any second though Michelle would hesitate to take it out though.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, of course not. She doesn't care. She's far past that.
Yeah. No, I mean this episode was largely just learning about the shell. I mean, it's funny. Early on in the episode, I was a little concerned that it felt weird to me that we were introduced to everything, and then within 10 minutes it was all destroyed. Like, or not destroyed, but this sandstorm happened so quickly. But by the end of the episode, it made a lot more sense to me to do it that way.
Once we got to the point of, we're doing a process, and this is presumably we're kind of going to return to more or less the structure of a test per episode.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think what will maybe help this season as well is that it'll be the test per episode plus whatever they're doing to like try and fix things up. So they'll have like a task to get the water working this episode, or to get the.
Well, that's what I assume a lot of the tests will end up being.
Oh yeah, maybe
find an efficient way to fix this, or contribute in some way.
Well, that is a nice double bonus by the people who are succeeding and the people who are qualified to keep helping early on.
I assume that's the intention. That's what I would do, at least, anyway.
Then obviously once they grow bigger, these people can train other people to do the same jobs, blah, 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 so on and so on.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I enjoyed the episode. I think the worst part about it is the Fernando explanation. When she makes that speech like, Fernando died trying to bring people here, and we get like people, just shots of people kicking him in the wheelchair.
Yeah, that was rough. I agree that I enjoyed the episode overall. I think I enjoyed it more once I realized, this is what it's setting up for the season.
Yeah.
Right. Once, that last maybe 15, 20 minutes, especially.
As soon as Gloria posed the idea, and I like that it's her that's posing it because she was always very pro-process last season. So it makes sense that she's like, no, the system in theory is fine. It's just a case of how to operate it morally, and
yeah.
So
it is bits like this where I do feel the lack of Fernando being that opposing voice on the other side here.
Yeah. I wonder if Xavier might, in the long run, be there to kind of fill in that void. I don't know. Not that he's very confrontational by any means, admittedly. I mean, I imagine, but I get a sense of Fernando and his innocence. I feel like Fernando, his confrontation elements will be given to Gloria, and his sort of more innocence, like hero side, will be given to Xavier. I feel like that's kind of how they'll split him up into these two characters.
Possibly, yeah. I do feel like, though, because Gloria is on such an opposite side to what Fernando was on so much.
Yeah, well, to be fair to Gloria, nothing she says in this episode goes against what she was last season either. Like, it doesn't feel like they've changed her to make her like, she's exactly. Fernando like by proxy now, or anything like that.
If we'd had Fernando in this season, he would have been arguing the opposite against having a selection.
No, you're probably right.
And I feel like I'm missing having that already.
Yeah, I think it's something we just do without now. It's just something we just have to accept.
Pretty much. It's a shame though.
But everyone else is back, and we'll see where we go. The recap at the start though for me on Netflix was really helpful because it was like, went through Ezekiel's death again and all that jazz, and just the trio and what them betraying the inland, all that stuff. It was really nice. I
actually remember that surprisingly well, given that it's been a while since season 2.
It's not been as long since between season 1 and 2 though, because season 1 and 2 like a year and a half. This is only just over a year, I think.
It's been a good year at least, right?
Yeah, a year, but that's actually quite short for a Netflix show.
No, it is, but I mean, given that, compared to regular TV where you watch it over 12 weeks and then you have 9 months off, even that extra few months.
Yeah, this was like April, May, I think, last year, and then this season was
June. Although, I mean, for us now, it's
it's later for us because we didn't start till later, but it came out in much closer to what season 2 was, I think.
Yeah, it was end of April was season 2, and start of June was season 3.
That's good timing. That's good for Netflix, really, to be honest. Like,
that was pretty good, yeah.
That's only about 14 months.
I imagine cutting it back down to 8 episodes instead of 10 saved a month or 2.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Although a month or 2 later may have been better for us, schedule-wise.
Well, you say that now, but Netflix will give us something else in a month.
I know we got Dear White People and Mindhunter like very soon.
I know there's some martial arts show starting in like a week as well that I have no idea what it's about, but I'm like, oh shit, okay.
I think I heard people talk about the trailer for that. Actually, maybe that's something I have to check out. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what the trailer's like before we make any promises on that.
But yeah, that was episode 1 of 3%. So very much a setup episode, but it did introduce a lot of interesting ideas and definitely gets me excited for what the season is doing overall.
And ideas is what the show is best at.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It makes me wonder how much influence or impact the offshore characters will have on this. I mean, it is really just Marcella and Andre at this point, but
yeah, I mean, I guess we didn't even consider did Michelle take some form of deal with them? Because we don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't really get to see. The fact that she wants to do a process implies she didn't, but it wouldn't necessarily be like a huge like betrayal of our trust as a viewer.
Yeah, if there's more going on.
Yeah, we'll see. Especially if it makes her look selfish. If she asked for something that was really,
would not be unlike her.
Yeah. So we'll see. But that is episode 1 of 3%. So we'll be back in about a week or so's time with episode 2. So bear with us as we go through this one a bit slower so we can fit it in around everything else. But let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can do that over at patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses, get some stuff early, and so on and so on. So go have a look at that. Otherwise, rate the podcast, the Netflix feed of podcast on your Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app you use. Helps us out a lot. And you can... Is that everything? I think that's everything. Check out other shows we do. Check out other stuff we review. Like I said, we got Mindhunter and Dear White People coming. Tons of stuff in the backlog. Check it out. So, but that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?